Hello, this is going to be a video in regards to BIOSes. Aorus Master 4090, it's worthwhile checking for the gaming as well. There was a BIOS that came out for this, but it was for a different batch, and it was quite annoying because I didn't know whether we were going to actually get it. It was only for people, I think it had the F9 or F10 BIOS, and yet the ones that a lot of the people had was F2, so it must be variations, different parts of the world or certain batches. So I was quite a bit annoyed that we couldn't get hold of the one that was advertised online, having improvements with the fan stop. Before I get into that, I've actually got round to putting a GIF on there. That's Blade Runner, favourite film, so I'll put a little one on there. So yeah, I never got, and I complained on Reddit and stuff like that. But anyway, this one been finally released, and it says there's improvements to the fan stop. So I downloaded that and trying it. The problem with the Gigabyte Gaming and the Master, great card, cooling and everything, was the fact that with the fan stop it would be on off, and then when it got to a certain temperature on silent it would go from 0 to 1200, on OC it would go 0 to 1400, and you can hear that jump. It wasn't a gradual climb, it was just straight up, and you could hear it obviously come on. Now sometimes it was just in games that wasn't that demanding, it's just temperatures had gradually built up and it didn't need the fan to spin that fast. And the other problem was that the fan would come on, spin really fast, cool it down, then turn off, and then it would happen again. Now if you were playing something like Cyberpunk, what would happen is it's a very demanding game, so the fan would come on, that's great, but then if you're doing a talking bit or just looking at something, it would cool down and then the fan would go off, and then you look at something else, turn around and the fan will come on, and you would get this revving where it was just constantly going up and down, up and down. Now with this new BIOS, what's happening is they've lowered the startup speed. So now on silent, and I think both on OC, the lowest it comes on is now 1100, which is great. So when it goes from 0 and it turns on, it goes to 1100, which brings it kind of in line with like MSI and other ones. They do the same kind of thing. So that's a lot better. You don't notice it like you did before when you're gaming, which is great. The other thing which they finally got round to, and I can't believe it's took them this long, was that they don't regulate the fan turn off and on purely on speed. It seems to be also on power draw. Now when I was on Baldur's Gate 3 last night, I just quickly tested this, and I only did one test, but I noticed it straight away, where that game, it doesn't really warm things up that much. And to be honest, I think that there's quite a bit of it you could actually play, and I don't even think this fan would turn on. Now I went into HW Info and the fans were on, but it showed the temperatures only being something like about 48, and at some points it was dropping a little bit lower than that, and yet the fans were on, and I was like, why have they came on? That's a bit strange. And then when I actually quit out the game, the fans stopped almost instantly. It seems to be that they've actually tied the BIOS in the fan control now with power draw, which is a good thing, because it means that basically if you're playing a game and it is heating things up, but you happen to look at something, once it drops the temperature back down, it won't just turn the fans off. Because it's also looking at the power draw, it knows that the game is still running, and it knows that there's a chance that anytime soon it could heat up again, so it's going to keep the fans running. So now it seems to be working, and I think that's pretty much what all the other companies do as well. I noticed that their fans just won't stop when it hits a certain temperature. They seem to keep spinning as well. So it's if you've got one of these cards, you'll understand that that's a good thing. It'll stop it from going off and back on, off and back on again, purely just on temperature. Now it seems to be also looking at what your power draw is, and I'm not sure what they've set it at, whether it be 200-300 watts. If you're pulling that, it knows to keep the fans going, but it keeps them going at the lowest speed, which is 1100. So yeah, they finally got round to doing something about that, and from a very quick testing, it works. So props to them. It's only took them a few years, but there you go. So if you have one of the Aorus cards, the Master, if you want to go to the support page and look at the BIOS, and obviously follow the instructions, because you've got to have it. Obviously, it's like with a lot of these cards now, it's got the dual BIOS. You've got to have it on the correct BIOS when you come to flash on the OC, and then switch back to the other BIOS when you want to flash to the silent. The Gigabyte Gaming might have one online. I've not checked for that one, but that basically behaved the same way as this one did. So hopefully they do have one for that one as well. And I'm just wondering if they've actually gone back and maybe done this for the 3090s. Now they've actually figured out how to do it. So maybe if you have a 3090, it might actually be worthwhile having a look to see if there's any new BIOS for them, to see if they're going to push one out for the slightly older cards. Anyway, so if you have one of them, go have a look and try it out, and I think you'll be very happy now that how the fans behave. I'm not happy with it, that I've just actually removed MSI Afterburner. I'm just using the Gigabyte Control Center to do everything now, which is what I prefer to use. I prefer to use just one thing rather than a multitude of different programs running. So yeah, go have a look. Bye.